I wonder if they got sued or something like that.
Maybe. Like someone died from
No.
not recording.
No, like someone didn't know that they were being recorded,
Oh.
and like they're like legally forced to like do this.
Right.
Why would your mind go there?
I don't know. It's usually what happens when people get sued. Stuff.
Yeah, of course.
No bad in hot coffee.
Oh no.
No, it's
Got burned.
Yeah. Okay, Melch Yoshev al Kisei Din Mizare v'Einav Kol Ra.
very like Yom Ryan
Yeah.
feelings from that. The king
Yosef al Kisei.
Roman,
Yeah.
King sits on a chair of judgment.
Really, king sit on chairs in your mind? That
Big chairs.
I feel like that's like the way I should have said.
really
Yeah.
for kings?
I mean, I know it's a throne.
Okay, yeah, throne is the right translation. It's not a chair. It's objectively wrong. Yeah.
Well, I guess there's the chair.
You know what it's like? You could also, it'd be like if you translated bathroom as the chair room. You know.
The house.
The house of chair house. Yeah, chair house. Yeah. It's a throne. I was wondering if you were like Bashita saying like chair or like, or if it was just or a personal association. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The king sits on a chair of judgment.
Right now, I'm doing that with you.
That's the throne. Okay. So the associations I'm having to the word Nizar are Zora, which is winnowing.
I think this is Zora. Yeah.
So yeah. So
yeah.
He.
I mean, it's scattering into the wind, but like I think that's literally what Zora is. Yeah.
He scatters with his eyes all evil.
Yeah, he scatters with his eyes, or in his eyes, all evil. Yeah. And I don't know if, I think all evil is a good literal translation here. Yeah, Melech Yoshev Kisei Din, a king sits on the throne of judgment, the throne of law, really, right? Not judgment. It's not Melech Mishpat. The throne of law. Mizara ve'einav kol ra. He scatters in his eyes, or with his eyes, all evil.
Wait, I'm sorry. You said din. What's the difference between din and mishpat?
Well, the translation-wise, din is law. It could also be judgment, I guess, if you're like being done din.
Okay.
And then mishpat is like judgment or justice. So I just wanted to differentiate it because din is not. I don't think din is primarily used for like the institution of justice. I think it's used for either like the act of judging or pronouncing judgment or law.
Right.
Let's look at the Targum. So weird not typing stuff. Maybe I should type it. It's too late now. I don't know why I looked at that.
Usually a clock.
No. I think I was looking at. I think my mind associated to the changes, like the fact that we're different table, different thing, summer mode, not typing on the thing, not preparing. Yeah, spatial associations. Malka diatev al krusia dedina mefazer min kadamohi kulhon bishasa. Yeah, I think that's just a literal translation. And then Sadgon says melech. Okay, so he says, it is proper, whatever that means, for the king who sits on the throne of law. You missed it that time.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it? Okay. Just is not funny anymore. To distance from before his presence, all evil. So just to highlight here what's going on. So he adds the word roi, and he says nizare as laharchik. And milafanav is be'enav from before him. So from like his sight, I guess is how you translate be'enav.
That's interesting. That sounds like he's saying like the purpose of the throne is to help him like spell.
The purpose of the throne.
Like that's why he's sitting on a throne.
That's interesting. I see that as a possibility. Are you getting that from the Sadigon or?
Yeah, I mean,
because it specifies.
He sits on a throne.
L'melech hayosh al kisei din. Meaning, right? No. I think that supports you, right?
Yeah. Right, the melech.
Yeah. Meaning not just a regular melech, but the melech in his capacity of sitting on kisei din.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's not.
Yeah, like he's not literally sitting on it. It doesn't have to be literally sitting on it.
Right.
He's executing
Right.
judgment.
Right.
I think I actually think the Tardum sounds like the opposite of what you're saying.
Okay.
He's saying it's worried that when a king is sitting on the chair of judgment, then that he should it's Roy the Roy's one in the second half.
Oh yeah.
That's how I'm reading it.
Oh yeah. I thought that was a shot.
That was what I was.
Oh, so was your initial thing coming from?
Yeah, which I was just reading it differently.
You were reading it like Roy Lamelech Leishiv Al Kisei Din.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we established that you were wrong, but through the right channels.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So what are the questions here? My fingers are getting antsy. I got to type the questions. Yeah. It's too. You can't break these habits once they start.
Is he expelling Ra from before him, or is he? What does the Mizare mean with the connotation?
Yeah. All right. Let's go here. Hold on, just one thing here. Yeah. What does Mizare mean?
Yeah, the connotation of scattering sounds like it's not being destroyed.
Right.
It's just
Exiled.
dispersed.
Yeah.
What's the Kisei Din?
What is the Kisei Din? Yeah. Yeah, and I think what we should assume factually, by the way, I gotta get the puzzle now. I think factually we should assume that the Kisei Din is when the king is actually sitting down to do real judgment, meaning pronounce judgment, right? Meaning I don't think it is. Excuse me. I don't think it is like making laws.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah.
Kisei Din. Yeah.
Yeah. What is a melech?
Yeah. Hold on just a second here. I'm just gonna paste this. All right. Well, we learn our lesson for tomorrow. Instead of Word document like usual. Okay. What does melech mean in this context? And just to articulate the question more, or just for our basic approach of melech, is that
is it only a literal king, or is it to apply to anyone in a position of leadership?
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Those are the two possibilities that I've seen with kings. Like some king psukim can be applied to all positions of leadership, and then some of them are dafka king.
Can they ever be applied to any person?
Maybe according to the Meiri that we read on the Ant pasuk about how you're the king of your the nefesh or the neshama is the king of the body. And the other Meiri way of interpreting it is the king of the Yetzer Hara, because it's a do you know the mashal of the poor chacham and the king? Koheletz. Yeah, there was a king who like built all these like powerful siege works and stuff, and then but there was a young chacham, poor chacham who no one noticed, and like he saved the city or something like that, and like it appears several places in Koheletz, and so Meiri. So I think Chazal used that as a mashal for the Yetzer Hara, that the Yetzer Hara is like a king who has complete reign over the body, and like the chacham has very little influence, but if he navigates the way correctly, then he'll be able to even like do greater things than the king and like save the city, So the Meiri often applies that to psukim about the king when he does the derech mister. Yeah.
And why are we saying that this has to be the king is like declaring judgment, or like as opposed to like him making laws?
It's not that it has to be that, but I think that's what Yoshev al Kisei Din is, like when he is sitting down to judge. I just think that that's the factual assumption. Because I don't think you need to sit on your Kisei Din to make laws. I think kings just make laws like wherever they are, right? I think, but when they're, I don't know.
Right.
It sounds like it's a more formal thing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how we use the mashal for God, right? We don't when we say what was it?
Making laws is pretty formal.
Right.
Right, but you mean like as okay? I mean,
It sounds like he's. Yeah, I mean, it does like I guess. A king can just say like, he can just decree, from now on something, and he just like, and then his word is law.
Right. You could also be like, kill that guy.
That's pronouncing judgment.
Right, but he doesn't have to be sitting. I'm saying on the throne.
That's true, right?
Yeah.
I guess the other place where I'm getting this from is that when we talk about God being sitting on the Kisei Den, he's not giving laws; he's pronouncing judgments.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, I guess the only reason why I'm thinking that is, well, I guess two things. First off, like it wouldn't work if we were saying like, you know, the king being reactive to something. So like saying, this is the new law, I decree this, whatever, and then like his word is just the law. This would, it's definitely sounds like it's in the context of like he's sitting down to write a law book or
Mhm.
something, or like, like come up with some kind of framework for the people. But I do feel like that also works at the end of the pasuk, where like, I mean, I guess I see how it could work. Either he's sitting down to write a law book and like he's doing that so that things will be good, and he's dispelling, bad things from happening, or he's trying to prevent them by creating this framework of law. And like that could also work. He's sitting down, he's doing judgment.
If you go with the Einav is Sadigon,
Right.
with Sadigon, I mean, the Einav means in front of him, and I feel like that also doesn't lend itself to making laws, like scattering Ra from his eyesight. I don't know, like in other words, I feel like you could interpret it that way, but that's a stretch on multiple levels of number one, going against the connotation of sitting to pronounce judgment. Number two, like scattering the law, like creating law to scatter evil, to me just doesn't jive. And then like from his eyesight, I don't know, like it's a stretch to me. So I'm gonna not go that way. But it should stop you from going that way.
Why does the pasuk say Be'enav specifically, especially for Versatile?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it say Lefana?
Yeah, does the pasuk say Be'enav? Yeah, it makes it like when I first read the pasuk, it sounds like what he's only concerned with the Ra that's in front of his eyes. Like, doesn't he want to get rid of all Ra?
Yeah.
You know?
It also it lines up with the question about the Zara also. About like the scattering it.
Yeah.
He's like scattering it, but like not getting rid of it.
Right. Oh, did I write that? No, I didn't write that in the first one. What does Mizari mean? It implies, like, does it imply not getting rid of it absolutely? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the combination of Mizara and Be'inav in convention sounds like he's scattering it until it's like too dispersed for him to see, and then he's satisfied.
Right.
I guess like even if the king wants to get rid of all Ra, he certainly can't get rid of Ra that he has no idea of. Like he doesn't know.
Okay. Right. So if the Einav means like, so that's not like Sadigon. That's like
That's
Ra that he's aware of.
I don't know how literal Versatile is. Lefana could be like that he knows about.
Yeah. I feel like the fact that Sadigon is translating the Einav as Bafanav means that that the Ra is physically present, but if you're not taking it as that, if you're taking Be'enav as in his knowledge, like you don't have to go Sadigon. Like I think it's easier to get to your idea if you say Be'enav is like in his in his awareness, Yeah.
When you say physically present, you don't mean literally physically present. You mean like something that's maybe like either like affecting him or he's like very cognizant of.
In Isaiah's interpretation.
Yeah.
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 You didn't mean literally in.
Well, that's always using the word awareness.
Yeah.
But Sadigon is saying physically present.
Yeah. Okay.
Like literally right in front of the throne because he's sitting down to judge him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I emphasized before. I think Sadigon is saying literally this pasuk is about a king who's sitting down to judge someone. And so we can deviate from that, but I think that's what Sadigon is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say anything?
You know what? Yeah.
Did we ask about what Hibedin is?
Yes.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Why Kol Ra and not just Ra?
Okay. Yeah. Why Kol Ra? Yeah. Actually, let's just say first of all, what Ra?
Yeah.
Right. What Ra, and why Kol Ra? Yeah. Let us think before I hear your idea, because since I haven't prepared this, I want to think. This is not a sacred pause. This is thinking.
Right. Just say.
It is sacred, right?
Yeah.
This is the Monday Night Mishlei Minute.
Mhm.
I just coined that term, but I talked about it before. Yeah. I have an idea too.
That's what we-
Slipped into a sacred pause. Just I love Mishlei. It's so good. It's so nice to be back. You know, yeah. I mean, just doing Mishlei again. It's just so great. Okay, that's good. Put me in a good mood. I was already in a good mood, but now I'm in a better mood. All right. So you want to say your idea?
Yeah. So not fully worked out, but I guess so basically it's contrasting the first half and the second half. That like basically when when a king sits on his throne, there's a certain like loftiness and like all powerfulness
Yeah.
that that he has. And there's this feeling either in his mind or in your mind or whatever that he can basically execute and justice anywhere and really like snap his fingers and
Mhm.
make it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the second half is qualifying that and saying no, he can only do it in his with like the fun of
Uh-huh.
like that he's still like a human being
Uh-huh.
and he's still you know like he only has like he's a powerful human being but he has
That's good. Wait, so that's with Isaiah's
Yeah.
okay, yeah. That's good. We actually forgot to ask a question which I think you're answering, which is who is the audience?
Mhm.
So you're saying, I mean, it's
Also-
technically
also,
this
what's
could
the
be,
opposite?
yeah,
And
what is the opposite?
He's also answering.
Yeah. So so if I'm under, let me just try saying your idea and tell me just what you're saying. That Mel Yoshev Al Kisei Din is referring to this aura of absolute power that a king has because of his position.
And it's like presenting like the king sitting on the throne of judgment.
Yeah. The throne. Yeah. And
just a chair.
the booster seat.
Yeah, the lesson is it's a chair.
Right.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And coffee is just hot bean juice. And it's saying though that he has a limitation. Which is that only what he is aware of can he affect. And so what is the practical idea then?
Yeah, so I guess the practical idea is that, well, it could be a few. First of all, like, I guess he has to delegate,
Mhm.
and like, you can't just, like, you could have a guy, and I think you can have this with like managers in general. Like, you should just, who would just tell me this? I don't know. But like, you'd have like basically, where like he's too focused, like he wants to know everything that's going on, and like be in control of everything. But he's only one person, so he has to sort of like delegate to other people.
Yeah, it's interesting. The two extremes of that. I'm not saying this as opposites, but the two extremes of that are the tyrannical, like despotic rulers. That's really where like their insecurity and fears express themselves in this way. Like they want absolute surveillance on everybody to know what, like the paranoia expresses itself in that because they are aware of the fact that they have these human limitations. And then the irony, the Mishleic irony, or Mishlei is the more they delegate this responsibility, the more they also have to put their trust into the people who are reporting back information, and then that itself feeds the paranoia. So like you can't escape this human limitation
Right.
of this, you know. And to extend that to non-literal kings, I mean, this one we'll talk about later. Micromanaging parents also do this, you know. Yeah. And then the other side I'm thinking about is in the book, the North Korea book, that the citizens of North Korea are brainwashed to think that their leader can actually read their thoughts, and that they can't, you know, like they're making a mistake. They maybe they are the opposite of this possible. Of like they really think that the king has this absolute godlike power who can like see into their thoughts, and that's not realistic. That's, you know, treating the king as something more than he is. Yeah. So it's interesting because I think my idea is focusing on the same quality, but completely different idea. So I'm not going with Sadigon, is saying ro'oi, that it's proper for the king to do this. I think what it's saying is that the king who sits on the throne of judgment wants to just scatter all evil in his eyes. And what that means is because he has absolute power, he has this feeling that he can just, through edict, you know, through just like exercising his power, he can get rid of all the problems, you know. And I think that's the, I think I'm getting this from the connotation that you were saying of like Zoreh. Nazare implies that he's not actually getting rid of it, he's just like moving out of sight, you know? And because the king actually has such absolute power, like if you're an average person, let's say, like in your own household, and you've got some problem with like one of your kids or whatever, you can't just scatter it. Like it's in your household and you're kind of forced to live with a king. A king can like do maneuvers like this, but they don't actually solve the problems, you know? Like that was a thing with when the American Revolution happened and the French Revolution happened, like all these monarchies were realizing that like all of the dissent and unrest that they had been kind of just like ignoring in their ivory towers and stuff, you know, that they can't just ignore it anymore, you know, and they were like trying to use like, they had been using like this scattering type approach of just like, oh, of course, like our Malchus is like secure and like we don't have to worry about this kind of thing, you know. That's a mistake that the king makes. And it's a, I think it often leads to superficial, short-term, unwise decisions on the part of the you know, of the boss, of just like, oh, just get rid of it. I don't care what you do, just get rid of it. That's not a very ecologically sensitive way to approach a system. You know, where you're like looking at it and seeing what the ripple effects are going to be of all this. How's it going to be perceived? How is the person who is ousted going to react? Like, how is it going to be perceived in the public eye? Or like, how's it going to change people's relationship to? It's just a lot of sensitive things. You can't just like scatter it, you know. And I think that in politics, I mean, I don't really know this so well, but from what I understand, then really Obama, because of his use of executive orders, really paved the way for Trump to do the same. And I guess like executive orders weren't used in such a willy-nilly way before Obama, and like the idea of just like making edicts and stuff really was disruptive and set a bad precedent that like, you know, was then abused in other ways, you know. I gotta close this window. I forgot about this. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think I have an idea that's similar.
Sure.
Not the same. So I think a king, when he's sitting like in the mode of judgment, when he's judging, so he's not like let's say a court system where it takes in a case, processes the case, and
right,
spits out the din.
Right.
It's more like he's Mizara, like he gets rid of any evil that he sees.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come so I think the pasuk is telling a person like if they come before the king because they want judgment on a certain thing, he's going to get rid of any evil that he finds.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just going to get rid of the evil that you think you're being judged.
That's interesting also.
Because he doesn't process cases. He scatters evil.
So and just could you give me an example of that? Just make sure I'm understanding.
So like let's say you think your neighbor stole your cows.
Yeah.
Do you come before the king to claim that the neighbor stole your cows? If he thinks you're like a bad guy, like he thinks, oh, you seem like a disreputable person, so he could just decide that you deserve judgment.
Yeah.
And that is like how kings work because judgment is in their eyes.
Right. That's a good example of that, even though it's not from. Actually, you tell me if this is a good example. I think it's a good example of this, even though it's not literally with a king. Is they say that because of the Jews who informed on the Rambam to the church, saying that there was like heretical stuff in his books. So then, like the Jews, I forgot which of the Jews did this, but they basically like got the church involved in trying to like look through the Rambam's books in order to like get rid of it. And then that eventually led them to burn the Talmud. Like that once they're now being brought in to like look at to try to eliminate evil, they're going to do it on their terms in an absolute way. And I think it's a fair comparison because the church had absolute power in the same way that these kings of old did.
Yeah, like when you involve like an external, you can't like use an external authority to just do what you want him to do.
Right.
Like he's not gonna the authority isn't going to come in and examine just the thing that you want him to to examine, because that's not how authority works.
That's a good idea. So the mistake then is I mean the application can be in different ways, but like certainly think twice about invoking an authority to judge the case, because you have to be aware. Was it
Even going to base then?
Yeah, right.
You have unintended consequences.
Right. Yeah. That's good. And I think that there is a power fantasy as well of like, if you feel very just in your cause, you are going to want to harness the power of the king to do your will. But that's not how the king works. It's not like just doing your will. He's going to bear bring the full brunt of his kingly judgment onto the all Ra. Yeah.
Right, like it's saying the mistake here is to think that you can use an external power for your agenda.
Yes.
It's just not how it works. Like even if your thing is 100% clear in your eyes, the reality is it's being seen through whoever that authoritative power is, his eyes.
Yeah.
And it's possible he'll see it the same way,
Yeah.
but it's also possible he won't.
Right.
And if he doesn't.
Yeah. Like I feel like there's probably cases in schools where like a kid tells on another kid and then everyone gets in trouble. Like I feel like that's like a common thing, Yeah.
Yeah, or like you let's say like go to your boss like to try to like complain about like another like a coworker.
Yeah.
And then the boss is like, you should be working this out yourself or something, and then you get harmed because you're like stirring up trouble or something.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, that fits in very well with the Einav.
Yeah, and I think it also fits in very well with Kol Ra.
Yeah.
And that's Ra meaning all the things that the king thinks is Ra.
Yeah, I think you could even say, I mean, I don't know if this is drush or not, but it's almost as if it's saying Kol Shehu Ra Einav,
Right.
like anything that is bad in his eyes.
Also, I think it fits Nizara, because I think the way that you separate when you're winnowing is like it's like flippant. You're not specifically picking.
Right. It's not discriminate. That's true.
Just getting rid of
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I still am having a little bit of a hard time with the word Mazara, because like he's not stopping that. He's just distilling it to the point where you can't see it. Like
Right. So I think according to this interpretation, we're not saying that. We're not saying that. You're meaning there's two different interpretations of Mazara. There's Isaac's, which is scattering but not getting rid of, and then you're putting emphasis on indiscriminately, non-selectively getting rid of something.
I'm not even saying that he's wrong necessarily. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily what you think it's going to be.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's so right.
Wait, so Isaac, according to what you're saying, what's the mistake that's happening here? Like, or who's the audience?
Yeah. So I think maybe we could just.
Yeah.
Right. I think
in fact, yeah. And in fact, this is a new habit that I also want to start next year, but now we're going to do it because it's summer mode. Is like I said at the end of the Monday Night Mishlei this year, summarizing what do we have, so that I can listen to the last 5 minutes and like jog my memory and not have to do a super ultra high Mishlei review. So we have 3 ideas. Your idea is.
I thought your ideas were.
They're related.
Yeah, another 2 like the two audiences of the same phenomenon.
Yeah. Say your idea again. Just
yeah, just that there's a sense that when the king is sitting on the Kisei Din,
yeah.
that he can he has unlimited power
Right.
and unlimited justice also. I guess.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But really, he's just a man.
Yeah.
And he's gonna end up burning on.
I was wondering what direction you're gonna take it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And then what was my idea?
That the king thinks that he can like just solve problems by eating.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that only is scattering them, but it's not solving them or
Yeah.
removing them. And
Yeah.
and the king is the king should be aware. Was I saying it was for the king?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Is that the king should be aware that just because you have absolute power and you can make stuff vanish does not mean that you're actually solving things. And that's a problem that the ordinary person doesn't have because he doesn't have that kind of power. So he's not under any illusions that he could just like solve stuff by edict.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think those are the two audiences of one phenomenon.
Yes, I think so also. Yeah.
That there's an apparent phenomenon that the king can just make decrees and that will like change like reshape reality.
Right.
But
I am the Senate, as it were. Yeah.
yeah. But really all he can do is like sweep things under the rug and maybe make like small changes. But it's
Yeah.
not gonna he's not going to be able to just solve everything.
Right.
And so for the king that manifests itself in that he needs to be aware of that he is not going to be able to just solve things by doing that. He needs to delegate and to like work with people as opposed to just making decrees.
Yeah.
And for other people it manifests itself in that what was it again? That
Thinking that he's superhuman.
Yeah.
no, yeah.
And-
Yeah.
You're asking like practical case?
Yeah, what was the practical case for doing your thing?
I think my idea was the manager thing. I don't know. The other.
What do you mean the manager thing?
Oh,
That's
that,
what you-
the
You mean that
practical
he
case
needs
is
to-
he needs to delegate.
Yeah. Because his eyes are
Yeah.
limited.
Wait,
So
so
the other thing is North Korea that like
Yeah.
the subject like
Yeah.
recognize that he's just a man.
Right.
right, I kind of thought that your idea was saying that the audience is the people, and your idea was saying that the audience is the king,
Yeah.
or like what the Constitution acts to. But now it kind of sounds like they're like.
Oh yeah, you
almost
did have two applications.
Yeah.
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 For you, it could be the king and it could be the people, and your idea, it sounds like it's just talking about
Yeah,
the king.
yeah.
Like, don't overstate your power.
Right.
You're still a human and you're limited.
Right.
What's the idea for the people then? Of not like.
Don't think that the king is like this all-powerful superhuman being. Like he is limited and he's a human being, and like he's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like one of the common
yeah.
one of the common manifestations of this that again it's hard for us to relate to in America because we don't have a king, but I feel like people do relate to institutions of authority, like, oh, they'll take care of it.
Mhm.
Like, but that's not true. Like the people who are running institutions are human beings.
Mhm.
And like, if they're not aware of something, then like, I mean, I saw this all the time in high school of like dissatisfaction on the part of students about something. And like, I would say like, have you like told the administration about it? Like, do they even know about this? Like there's this feeling of like, I mean, I think it's very like, kids have the same feelings about their parents. Like, of course, my parents are completely aware of everything, and like they'll solve stuff if something goes bad. But
yeah, I guess the two sides of it are that the king needs to be aware, or like the authority needs to be aware that they need to delegate things, and the people who are and like the other people need to be more proactive about taking responsibility because like the authority is only human and it's not going and will miss things unless you're proactive about it.
right. And then Isaiah's idea, and we'll end for today, and do apart from tomorrow, is the Rush my memory one more time.
Okay, so I guess it's for the people coming before the king
Yeah,
to know that his judgment is not what you think.
right. Is he's going to get rid of all Ra
Right.
and
Or
don't
any Ra.
any Ra and not just the Ra that you want him to
Yeah.
do. Yeah. Okay. Let's stop here for today, and then tomorrow we'll do the Mepharshim.
Cool.
We end it.